In this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, Sasuke finally gives his answers to the 4 zombified Hokage, but there's a lot of build-up to that. In fact, there were an assload of flashbacks in this week's episode, so much so that I honestly don't really have too much to talk about this week. What I will say is there were a few standout scenes, but the whole thing is, like, all these flashbacks took up more than half of the episode, and they did serve a purpose, which I guess was to just sort of reinforce that Sasuke has finally come to terms with what Itachi did, and he's sort of using that as his excuse to go to the battlefield because he now wants to protect Itachi's ideals. But there were some standout scenes, such as the beginning of the episode where Madara and Hashirama finished their battle. You get to see that Hashirama has truly changed at this point when they finally started to fight. He wasn't as perky and hilarious as he always was, and he actually ends up tricking Madara when Madara thinks he wins the battle, but it was just a wood clone, and then he stabs him from behind, thus killing Madara. Actually, we know that's not the truth. There's a lot more to Madara's backstory, but the other thing about this episode is just getting to see the various flashbacks of Itachi and all of his interactions with Sasuke, and getting to see how he sort of influenced him over the course of the series. If you've seen the previous episodes, you've seen these scenes before. However, it all ends with Sasuke deciding that he's going to head to the battlefield, and with the help of all of these Hokage, which is really awesome and a fantastic development. Just like in the manga version, I still would have loved if Sasuke would have addressed the 4th Hokage, Minato, a little bit more, only because he's Naruto's father, and I think that would have just made for a really great conversation, but we're going to save some of that stuff for later. Otherwise, I think one of my favorite scenes this week, surprisingly, was when Karen just decided to show up out of nowhere and beat the hell out of Suigetsu. And oddly enough, she's so just stupid. She immediately goes back to Sasuke. What the hell is wrong with her? He fucking, like, stabbed her right through the damn chest. But whatever, that's just the way it is, that's just the way Karen is. Another thing that's kind of cool is the fact that Orochimaru is just more interested in seeing what Sasuke is doing because he's not copying what he did. You know, he respected Kabuto, but Kabuto just wanted to be another Orochimaru. But Sasuke's going on his own path, and Orochimaru still wants to see this through. It is still kind of strange, though, to see Orochimaru being all buddy-buddy with everybody, even though he's not really that friendly. It's just weird seeing him, like, act like this. But otherwise, the end of the episode ends with all the Hokage getting ready to jump on their respective Hokage heads on Mount Ninjamore, whatever the hell it's called, the Kage Summit, the Kage Mountain. I don't know the name of it. All I know is it looks really cool. It's just like it was in the manga scene, and it gets you really pumped up for what's going to happen next. Otherwise, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto? About 5 minutes of this week's episode were pretty damn awesome. The other bit, not so much. That's not to say that those flashbacks were bad. They were great in their respective episodes. I just really wish they weren't filled to the brim in this episode. It just sort of brought it down for me. But there were some really important developments this week, which essentially were just Sasuke's gonna decide to go to the battlefield, and that's pretty much it. That's really the only true development from this week's episode, aside from the fact that I guess you could argue that Sasuke's character has had a huge character change over the course of these last couple episodes, and we really got to see it come to fruition in this week's episode. I could talk negative about this one all day, but it's time to talk about something a little more positive, and that's because I don't want to make a whole video about it, because there's not much to talk about. There's a brand new Naruto movie coming out, and it's called The Last, and they just released this 15-second trailer. It's like a teaser trailer for the movie, and it's talking about some of the events, and apparently it's actually connected to the manga. It might actually be a canon story, and supposedly it takes place after the manga is done, and you actually get to see a much older Naruto. He's taller, he has shorter hair, and that's pretty much all they show from the trailer. It's not too expanded from what they were teasing upon about a week ago, but it's still pretty interesting to finally see this in animation form and to see it in action. But I'm not really sure how to take this movie, because a lot of the times the movies are not canon to the manga material. A lot of the times they have these stories that take place in times that just would not make sense. But considering this takes place at the end of the manga series, or even after it, you know, that just begs a lot of questions. Is the manga series going to end even sooner than we think? Isn't that going to spoil a lot of things for people who just watch the anime? Especially because we might get to see that some characters might not even be surviving in the new movie. I mean, the end of the war is not done yet, and the only character they've shown in the movie is Naruto, so who knows if Sasuke is even going to show up? That's just a big question mark right there. What I will say is I'm excited for the concept of this movie because it's different from the other ones that I've seen. And, you know, there was a really dirty trend in the first beginning of Naruto movies where it was just like Naruto teaming up with someone, they had a similar past, and then he just decided that he's going to help them out, you know, because it makes him feel good. But then after that, they started to do more original stories, like Naruto getting thrown in prison and going back in time and doing all this crazy shit in the pre-infinite Tsukiyomi plan from Obito. There were a lot of really crazy movies, and I'm hoping they'll do something nutty with this one. But I'm really excited for it. But let's get back on topic here. Let's talk about the episode. The score this week is not that good, but it's only because there were a lot of flashbacks this week. All the stuff that was there that was brand new is important, and it is something that Naruto fans definitely need to check out. This is an episode I do suggest. Just maybe, you know, fast forward through some of the scenes a little bit. So because of that, I regrettably have to give this week's episode a 6 out of 10. It was an okay episode. I just wish they could have put a little bit more in there and cut the flashbacks at least, you know, by half. But otherwise, they at least serve the story purpose. It's just, you've seen it all before. Otherwise, pretty decent episode. Naruto fans, check it out. Everybody else, stay away. Thank you guys for watching my review today. Before you leave, make sure and hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. And please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Naruto. Did you have a favorite flashback, or are you just really excited to see all the Kages go to the battlefield? Remember guys, you can also subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and you can also check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll put links for those in the description box below.
Do you like Amazon.com? I know I do. Corey and I now have an Amazon link in our video description box below. And if you go to it and buy anything through Amazon.com, it will support our channel. So bookmark that link, make it happen, and support our channel without having to do a damn thing.
Another great way you guys can help support our channel is by donating directly through our PayPal link in the description box below. We recommend $2 a month, although this is completely optional. But the best way to go about this is by sneaking into your mom's room and taking $2. This way, she won't even notice. And we won't have to shake you up for all of your lunch money. So guys, that concludes this review today. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.